Would you believe a K-drama turned a kitchen cook-off into one of the most nerve-shredding battles of the year, with the loser threatened to forfeit an arm? That is the precise knife-edge episodes 3 and 4 of Bon Appétit, Your Majesty Place Us On. The tone is playful one moment and deadly serious the next, and the result is a weekend cliffhanger that has viewers in Korea and around the world arguing over dishes as if they were weapons on a battlefield. If you love K-dramas that make you laugh and then grab the edge of your seat, join us so you never miss the next deep dive into the shows that matter. Here is the setup. Fast. Yeonji Young, played by Im Yoo-na, is a celebrated modern chef who has fallen through time into the Joseon court of King Lee Hyun, portrayed by rising actor Lee Chae-min. In the opening chapters, she saves her life with skill, not swords, and wins a narrow path into the palace kitchens. The early viral moments are already legend. Tonight we are zeroing in on episodes 3 and 4, when a royal power game erupts inside the ovens and steamers, and a cook's fate turns on flavor. But the question that makes everyone keep watching lands before the first minute is up. With punishment measured in limbs, how can a chef possibly survive a contest judged by a tyrant king? Episode 3 lights the fuse. Concubine Kang Mok-ju, played with velvety menace by Kang Han-na, watches the king's attention drift toward the mysterious outsider who cooks like no one in Joseon. For Mok-ju, the kitchen is not a room, it is a throne. She approaches Queen Dowager Inju, Seo Yi-suk, in imperious form, and whispers a solution into the hierarchy. If Ji-young's status depends on the king's tongue, then let us gamble her hands on it. The Dowager agrees. A cook-off is declared. The established royal chefs will face the newcomer in the palace scullery, and the king himself will judge. The stakes are brutal and very public. The losers will be maimed. Word spreads through the corridors like smoke. On social feeds, fans trade shocked messages. Inside the show, the kitchen staff go quiet. It is the kind of punishment that turns technique into terror, and it sets the tone for a showdown where every chop, every pinch of salt could decide a life. Episode 4 opens on organized chaos. The camera glides past chopping blocks and braziers, past clouds of steam, and the rhythmic thud of pestles pounding seeds and aromatics. Ji-young ties her hair, steadies her breath, and begins assigning tasks to the few cooks willing to stand with her. Across the room, the senior chefs array their own forces. Years of institutional pride ready to crush a time traveler who does not know her place. Director Jang Tae-yu shoots it like a war film. Wide angles capture the whole kitchen moving in counterpoint. Then the edit snaps to extreme close-ups, a knife edge flashing against green onions, oil blooming in a hot pan, broth turning from clear to shimmering gold. The king sits at the far end beneath a lacquered screen. His face gives nothing away. The Queen Dowager, satisfied with the stakes she engineered, nods to begin. Food becomes narrative. Ji-young refuses to replicate court recipes by rote and instead folds modern discipline into Joseon foundations. She works through the grammar of royal cuisine, clear broths, clean rice cakes, pan-fried jang, jang-based seasonings, and writes new sentences with it. A light soup that reads as royal comfort food carries layered umami from carefully toasted soy paste. A trio of jang arrives crisp at the edges but soft at the center, the batter aerated just enough to lift. A simple garnish of scallions and aromatic oil brightens a dish without drowning the heritage beneath it. None of it is flashy. All of it is intentional. Viewers around the world responded by posting their own versions, swapping notes on stock techniques, and debating which historical flavors a modern kitchen could reproduce. The drama manages something rare. It teaches without lecturing and entertains without dumbing down. The king's palate becomes the metronome. At first, he watches from a distance, daring the newcomer to impress him again. Then a taste breaks through his defenses. He reaches for a second bite, slower this time, and his eyes flick upward, as if surprised to find pleasure has snuck in. Fans online call it bite acting. Lee Chae-min lands tiny shifts of expression that spark instant memes. One edit sets a drumroll under his eyebrow raise, another cuts between his stern glare and a sudden reluctant grin. It is funny and telling at once. A tyrant who wields fear is learning the limits of punishment when excellence refuses to bow. Meanwhile, Ji-young moves from survival to strategy. She knows Mokju is not simply protecting tradition, she is protecting power. So the chef leans into what power understands least. She steps away from ornament and chases clarity, serving dishes that cannot be dismissed as tricks. There is a quiet, modern feminism in the choice, skill as resistance, competence as rebellion. The subtler arc lands on viewers, especially women, who read their own workplaces into the palace and recognize the thrill of winning by being undeniable. The antagonists sharpen in parallel. Kang Ha-na plays Mokju as silk wrapped around steel, a woman capable of affection in private and annihilation in public. She floats rumors through the corridors and flatters the dowager with the grace of someone who has spent a lifetime studying the court's true currency. When the cooking begins to turn in Ji-young's favor, her smile tightens by a centimeter. It is more than enough. The performance earns comparison to classic K-drama villains, not caricature but calculation, a formidable wall for the heroine to climb. The numbers bear out the buzz. By episode 3, the drama's domestic ratings clear 7% nationwide on cable, and episode 4 climbs again. On Netflix, it breaks into the global top 10 and appears in country lists far beyond Asia, including the United States and Canada. Entertainment outlets from Seoul to New York pick up the story. One article unpacks the real historical inspiration for the fictional king. Another praises the series for blending palace intrigue with culinary craft. Each weekend drop unleashes a wave of short clips. Seasoned editors cut the cook-off to EDM drops. Reaction channels post live gasps when the punishment is announced. And culinary creators pick apart the broth clarity like sports commentators. Controversy travels with the crown. Some viewers critique the punishment stakes as gratuitous, arguing that violence has no place in a cozy rom-com kitchen. Others counter that the threat is the point, that Joseon punishment was often public, and that the show's moral argument is about talent outmaneuvering terror. Another debate runs through comment sections about the age dynamic between leads. He is younger, she older, and vastly more competent. For many, that contrast is why the relationship works. The king reads as emotionally adolescent, and the show lets maturity, not meekness, carry romantic weight. The conversation, messy, funny, sometimes heated, keeps the title in feeds between episodes. Fans, as always, pour gasoline on the spark. A joking line, knife-cut noodles or knife-cut arms, turns into a Twitter trend. A TikTok where Ji-young dices herbs at impossible speed racks up millions of views with captions like, "She's not cooking, she's dueling." Still of the king caught between pride and delight becomes a template for 100 reaction posts. Even the smallest prop choices find life online. A scarf used as an improvised bandage in a moment of chaotic triage spawns edits about modern solutions invading history. The tone may be fantastical, but the emotions are real enough that viewers claim them as their own. Off-screen, the production stokes the appetite. Yuna appears on a cooking variety show to promote the series, standing at a contemporary workstation and recreating a palace-inspired dish with a guest chef. Netflix drops a bloopers reel from the Showdown, with pans sputtering and actors breaking into laughter between takes. New OST tracks roll out across music platforms, and fans who arrived for the actors stay for the songs. The effect is a feedback loop. The more the cast and platform feed fans, the more fans feed the algorithm. So why do episodes 3 and 4 land so hard? Because they clarify the show's thesis. In this palace, food is power. It heals and humiliates, it persuades and punishes, and it gives a woman out of time the only weapon she needs. The cook-off is not spectacle for its own sake. It is the exact moment the story flips from how will she survive to how will she win. The arc is evergreen. Years from now, we will still be able to point to this stretch and say, that is where the series found its voice, where a tyrant discovered awe and a chef discovered leverage. And that leaves us with a question. Which moment defined the arc for you? The breath-holding tension of the royal kitchen showdown, or the quieter spark when the king realized his anger was no match for excellence? Tell us in the comments what you felt and why. If you want the fastest deep dives on K-pop and K-drama moments that matter, join us so you never miss the next chapter.